Mastering the exposure triangle in photography. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of the foundational concepts in photography, the exposure triangle. If you've ever wondered why your photos come out too bright, too dark, blurry, or noisy, understanding how aperture, shutter speed, and ISO work together is the key to taking control of your camera and creating stunning images. By the end of this explanation, you'll know how to balance these three elements to achieve the perfect exposure for any situation. Let's break it down step by step. What is the exposure triangle? The exposure triangle refers to the three main camera settings: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, that determine how much light reaches your camera's sensor, or film, if you're shooting analog. These settings don't just control brightness, they also affect the creative aspects of your photo, like depth of field, motion blur, and image noise. The triangle metaphor comes from the fact that changing one setting requires adjusting the others to maintain a balanced exposure. If you increase light in one area, you might need to decrease it in another to avoid overexposure, too bright, or underexposure, too dark. Think of exposure as filling a bucket with water. Aperture is the size of the hose, how wide the opening is. Shutter speed is how long you leave the hose running, time the light enters. ISO is how sensitive the bucket is to water, sensors light sensitivity. A proper exposure means the bucket is filled just right, not overflowing or half empty. Mastering this takes practice, but once you get it, you'll shoot in manual mode like a pro. 1. Aperture. Controlling light and depth of field. Aperture is the opening in your lens that lets light in, similar to the pupil in your eye. It's measured in f-stops, e.g. f1.4, f2.8, f8, f16, where a lower number means a wider opening, more light, and a higher number means a narrower opening, less light. How it affects exposure. A wide aperture, small f number like f2.8, allows more light to hit the sensor quickly, making it ideal for low-light situations. A narrow aperture, large f number like f16, restricts light, which is great for bright scenes but requires longer exposure times or higher ISO to compensate. Creative impact. Aperture controls depth of field, the amount of your image that's in sharp focus. Wide aperture, e.g. f2.8 or lower, creates a shallow depth of field, blurring the background, known as bokeh, while keeping your subject sharp. This is perfect for portraits, where you want to isolate the person from a distracting background, or macro shots of flowers. Narrow aperture, e.g. f8 or higher, increases depth of field, keeping more of the scene in focus from foreground to background. Use this for landscapes, architecture, or group photos where everything needs to be crisp. Example: shooting a wedding portrait indoors with dim lighting? Set your aperture to f2.8 to let in plenty of light and create that dreamy, blurry background that makes the couple pop. Tip: remember, f-stops are counterintuitive. Smaller number eel, bigger opening. Lenses with wide maximum apertures, like f1.4 primes, are often called fast lenses because they allow faster shutter speeds in low light. 2. Shutter speed. Controlling light and motion. Shutter speed is the duration the camera's shutter remains open, exposing the sensor to light. It's measured in seconds or fractions of a second, e.g. 1/1000s, 1/60s, 1s, 30s. How it affects exposure. Faster shutter speeds, short times like 1/1000s, let in less light, while slower speeds, long times like 1/30s or 1s, let in more. In bright conditions, you'll use fast speeds to avoid overexposure. In dark scenes, slow speeds to gather enough light. Creative impact. Shutter speed freezes or blurs motion. Fast shutter speed, e.g. 1/1000s or faster, freezes action, capturing sharp details in moving subjects. Ideal for sports photography, a runner mid-stride, wildlife, a bird in flight, or street scenes with fast-moving cars. Slow shutter speed, e.g. 1/30s or slower, introduces motion blur, which can convey movement artistically. Think silky waterfalls, light trails from cars at night, or panning shots where the background blurs but the subject stays sharp. Example: photographing a child playing soccer? Use 1/1000s to freeze the ball in mid-kick without any blur. But for a starry night sky, try 30s to capture star trails as the Earth rotates. Tip: Hand holding your camera? Stick to the reciprocal rule. Shutter speed should be at least one focal length, e.g. 1/50s for a 50mm lens, to avoid camera shake. For slower speeds, use a tripod. 3. ISO, controlling sensitivity and noise. ISO measures your camera sensor's sensitivity to light. Lower numbers, like ISO 100, mean less sensitivity, needs more light, while higher numbers, like ISO 1600 or 6400, mean more sensitivity, works in dimmer conditions. How it affects exposure. Low ISO requires more light from aperture or shutter speed. High ISO amplifies the signal, allowing proper exposure in low light without changing the other settings much. Creative impact and trade-offs. ISO primarily affects image quality through noise, grainy artifacts that degrade sharpness and color. Low ISO, e.g. 100 or 200, produces clean, noise-free images with maximum detail and dynamic range. Best for bright daylight or studio setups with controlled lighting. High ISO, e.g. 3200 or above, increases noise, which can look like digital grain or color speckles, especially in shadows. Use it sparingly for night photography, concerts, or indoor events where light is scarce. Example: on a sunny beach, keep ISO at 100 to minimize noise and capture vibrant, clear blues and whites. But at a dimly lit concert, bump it to 3200 so you can use a fast shutter speed to freeze the performer without blur. Tip: modern cameras handle high ISO better than ever, but always aim for the lowest possible ISO to maintain quality. Noise reduction software and post-processing can help, but it's no substitute for getting it right in camera. How they work together. Balancing the triangle. The magic happens when you adjust these three in harmony. Exposure is about trade-offs. Changing one impacts the others and the final look of your photo. Reciprocal relationship. If you widen the aperture by one stop, e.g. f4 to f2.8, doubling light, you can halve the shutter speed, e.g. 1/500s to 1/1000s, or have the ISO, e.g. 400 to 200, to keep the same exposure. Scenarios to practice. Low light portrait, wide aperture, f2.8, for background blur plus moderate shutter speed, 125s, to avoid shake, plus higher ISO, 800, if needed. Action sports in daylight, narrow aperture, f8, for depth, plus fast shutter, 1/2000s, to freeze motion, plus low, ISO, 100, for clean images. Landscape at golden hour, narrow aperture, f11, for sharp focus throughout, plus slow shutter, 160s, on a tripod, plus low, ISO, 100, for noise-free details. Night cityscape, wide aperture, f4, plus very slow shutter, 10s, for light trails, plus moderate ISO, 400, to balance noise. Your camera's light meter, or histogram, helps gauge exposure. Shoot in aperture priority, AAV mode, to control depth of field while the camera auto-adjusts shutter, or shutter priority, STV, for motion control. Graduate to full manual, M mode, for ultimate mastery. Tips to master it through experimentation. Start simple. Set your camera to manual and take the same scene with different combinations. Note how each change affects brightness, blur, and noise. Use bracketing. Many cameras have auto exposure bracketing. Shoot multiple frames at varying exposures to compare. Practice in varied conditions. Try bright sunlight, shade, indoors, and night. Apps like PhotoPills or histograms in Lightroom can help analyze results. Understand stops. Each stop doubles or halves light. Learn to think in stops for quick adjustments, e.g., +1 stop aperture equals 1 stop shutter. Gear matters. Prime lenses excel at wide apertures. Stabilizers help with slow shutters. Full-frame sensors handle high ISO better. Experimentation is key. There's no perfect setting, just what achieves your artistic vision. The more you shoot, the more intuitive it becomes. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button to join our community for more photography tips, gear reviews, and tutorials. Drop a comment below. What's your biggest challenge with the exposure triangle? Or share a photo where you nailed the balance. We'd love to see it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.